The Panthers backups played a game on Saturday.
They did. I was there.
I guess the starters, they're good. Hay in the barn. No, they don't need the work. Here's how I'm choosing to look at it. I am frustrated that we won't see the starters for the Panthers. But I guess you have to respect the flex from Dave Canales and the coaching staff to kind of say, hey, listen, starters are far along enough that if everything isn't perfect, we're just going to sit them out. Right? If everybody isn't 100% healthy, then we're just going to chill. Nothing is so pressing on this roster for the starters that we would make us play them to see if we can fix it or get better in that way if anything is a bit off. It's a flex. I mean, that's the only way to look at it. I'm going to quote somebody on Twitter. I saw this, right? Because the algorithms are now starting to notice that I'm kind of into this football thing. So,
now they've noticed?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Off season, I was getting a lot of the algorithms took me on some weird places. But now I'm getting back to they're showing me what everyone is saying about the Panthers, what everyone is saying about quarterbacks, what everyone is saying about college football, and I feel much more at home. Primetime Carolina on Twitter asked this question. Is it crazy to think Canales simply knows this team is better than people realize and doesn't want to tip his hand by playing his guys in the preseason? And I'm looking around going, first of all, hard spin zone there.
hey,
I like the effort.
I like it. I respect that.
He's not playing his starter, so obviously that means there's some super double secret roster improvement that he doesn't want anybody to know about until week one. But I'm going, it is kind of that. I think that's taking it to the 10th degree, but I don't know how you watched that game on Saturday. And Dennis, you were there in person. Mm-hmm. I was watching it on TV. I don't know how you watched that game on Saturday and don't come away thinking a little bit like, oh, they just need to finish off the details at the end of the roster. Oh, they just need to figure out which depth corner helps them on special teams the best. They just need to figure out who the fifth or sixth wide receiver on the roster is, because that's what it looked like they were trying to sort out, right? Hey, you know what? Let's put whatever healthy offensive lineman we have, even if they just got on the team like the day before, and hopefully we'll give them a basic enough playbook, a basic enough play call sheet that we can figure out if we want to keep Ihmir Smith-Marsette or not. Which is what some teams get to do in the preseason, right? Some teams look at their roster. Dennis was actually, we were sitting around the cubicles. He had out the roster, and he's trying to circle who's definitely going to make the team. There are rosters out there where everything is settled. Here's your starter. I saw Jaden Daniels for Washington was announced as the starting quarterback today. You think?
Shocker.
You mean Sam Hartman, who's hurt, isn't giving him a run? Mm-hmm. Marcus Mariota, who's signed to be a backup, isn't in the running? Like, there are teams where every position is that. Here's the starter, there's the backup, there's the third string, here's the guy that's going to get cut. Or here's the starter, here's the backup, here's three names competing to be the third string. And then in the preseason, all you have to do is sort out that third string. I don't think that's the Panthers, but they're acting that way. Well, I think they've got a lot of decisions to make. I think they've got to sort out the starters at a lot of positions. I think they have to sort out the second string at a lot of positions in addition to everything else going on. But the Panthers are operating as if they're a team who's like, no, actually, we know who the starters are and they're ready. And we're only going to play them in the preseason if everything else is perfect. Right? Because Canales is talking about, well, we have some injuries and unless everybody on our first unit is healthy, we don't see the value in putting them in a preseason. I'm going, there's teams that are like, no, we need to figure out these answers regardless of if everybody is healthy. Right? We need to know if we can trust this rookie to play a ton of reps. We need to know if this person is ready to step up if the starter gets hurt. We have to do this. Panthers are kind of chill. Especially because Dave Canales is the I always want to play football guy. That's kind of his brand, right? Do you have the
I feel great about playing football right now.
That's the guy. He said that in April. Now every preseason game in August, he's like, well, I don't feel great about those guys playing football. We'll throw the backups out there.
I don't know. Maybe he does feel so good about them. Like
that's
the
what
guy
I'm saying.
mentioned on Twitter. Hey, maybe that's the thing.
It's a flex. You have to respect the flex, right? I mean, we are not in the building. We are not there at practice. We are not watching the practice film as much as we thirst for information and read into everything. Like, there is an element of the internal and the external, right? The internal is flexing on us right now. If they start slow, right? Let's say they lose their first 3 games. And let's say maybe the offense doesn't perform as well as we are all hoping they will. You know what the storyline is going to be, right? Well, how'd you expect them to start fast? They didn't play at all in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you expect them to be ready? There's all of these new pieces. There's new offensive linemen. There's new tight ends. There's new receivers. There's new running backs. Or running back, but he won't be there at the beginning. Maybe not the best example to use running backs. Everybody else, it's going to be pretty darn new. New play caller. How'd you expect them to be ready week 1? How'd you expect them to be ready week 1? That's going to be the storyline. And they're risking that. They're so confident that won't be the case. Not to mention, they're going to have to incorporate some newbies. Dave Canales was asked if they'll look outside of the current group when they're putting together their final roster.
We have to respect these guys' opportunity, and we're calling them out there they're out there the whole entire game. It's some great film to evaluate, and we start with us. Start evaluating and competing in our rooms, and then we'll see what happens after that.
They're going to go outside the roster for their final roster.
For sure.
They have the first waiver opportunity, number 1 waiver spot. We've talked about it, but that means anyone that is cut from any other team in the NFL, they get the first option. They are first in line to sign that player. They are going to do that. There is so much to be settled by the Carolina Panthers. So much to be settled by the Carolina Panthers. How crazy is that? That they are still not playing their starters. Or not, I mean, starters might not even – they had 38 inactives.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of those guys are legit hurt.
Fair. I mean, I'm not going to fault them for not playing the injuries. But if we say they had 10 injuries, 28 inactives, there's only 22 starters. It is a flex. And I hope it pays off. I hope it pays off. And what I mean by that is, like, there's a difference between saying I don't think this is the way to do it correctly and I hope this messes them up. I hope it works perfectly. Mm-hmm. I hope everybody's so healthy week 1 that they roll out there and it's perfect. I just, from years and years and years of watching, being involved in the game, I'm pretty confident you need to get those first couple of hits. And if they play in the 3rd preseason game, I'll be even more confused. Because then I'll be going, the health was so important to preserve when you had a month to recover before the first game. But now with 2 weeks to recover before the first game, you're throwing them out there. You need to get popped one time. And I'm talking about the kind of hit that only happens in a game. The practice hits are not quite the same.
Do you think because I know, for example, on the offensive line, Damian Lewis is coming back from shoulder injury. Also, Robert Hunt got a little nicked up, but is fine, but still got a little nicked up in the joint practice on Thursday against the Jets. Do you think if all 5 starting offensive linemen are healthy and Deontay Johnson's ready to go come Saturday when they go up to Buffalo to play the Bills, we get one series with the offense?
Maybe. And especially because that's what we've been sold is we only want to put them out there if everybody is absolutely healthy. But to me, 2 weeks before, You start to get to the point where it's like if 100% health is that important to you, I think if you then start preserving it for week 1, right? But I think it's possible. Like at this point, I can't predict what Dave Canales is going to do. So I'm gonna, other than being optimistic in the post game presser.
I'm not gonna lie. When he walks in, I was in the post game presser. When he walks in, it's all like. He was all smiles and energy because he got that touchdown on that final play and everything. He was all smiles, and I was like, whoa, okay. The aura, it's real. It's real. Like what you hear, what you see on screen in person. Like, oh, okay, I've witnessed it. I felt it.
I've never seen someone more excited to get your first touchdown of the preseason as time expires in the second preseason game, and walk in just jacked up, just ready to roll. He truly finds the silver lining in everything.
Hey, Dylan Johnson looked good. I will say that, though.
Dylan Johnson did look good.
Mm-hmm.
Running back who ran for, 84 yards and a touchdown on 18 carries, mostly as the game went along. It's a good stat line.
I will say this. Going to the locker room, talking to players post-game, the vibe in the locker room was they felt like they had a really strong week and that they built off that first preseason game against the New England Patriots. Like, they felt like everyone in the locker room that I talked to, and I talked to about 15, 20 guys, that everything was trending in the right direction, that they're building. They know it's a process, but they're building. And I think that's something that they're excited about, knowing that they still play pretty decent with, like you mentioned, 4 offensive linemen playing that had only been there for a week or less.
Now, I say this a lot. I think teams adopt the image of their best players and their coach. I think it's obvious they've adopted the mantras and everything of Dave Canales, especially, and it'll be tested because I don't think everything's going to be gumdrops and rainbows and awesome the entire season. They'll be tested.
Unless it is.
We'll see.
Unless you're going to do it.
We'll see on that one. Possible, unlikely.